Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of the Linux Guru Guy channel. Coming at you from Denver, Colorado. Rick Koppel speaking. And today we're going to look at the ddISO2USB script I created that allows you to create a bootable USB very easily. I created it mainly for my own purposes, but I decided maybe I should make it available to other people, so I'm going to have it in the description, download link down there, and check it out for yourself. See what you think. Anyway, I'm going to go through that today and show you it and show you how it works, how you can put it on there and install it on your system so you can use it too. Yeah, today we're going to be looking at the USB script. I'm going to show you on this I'm using Cinnamon Desktop and GNOME Terminal to do all this stuff. Now I'm going to try and show you how to do this as much as possible in the GUI. Since I'm talking about specifically Cinnamon Desktop, your GUI may differ in some respects and how it works, but you can probably work it out to find out how to do it in your own file manager and that kind of thing. Anyway, we're going to be using Nemo as a file manager. Yeah, I'm just going to show you this so you can see exactly what I'm working with. On Fedora workstation still, no hopping yet. On Fedora 33, I have let's see, I have Bash 5.0, and I've got a Cinnamon Desktop 4.8.3, and I have Black Mate as my theme with candy icons. I want candy. GNOME Terminal, and the rest is there. See, Cinnamon is taking up a good hunk of my 12 gigabytes of space there. It's about 2.3 gigs of data being used by Cinnamon right now. And I wanted to show you that so you see it, and I also want to show you the file I'm going to be using. So we're going to go to my bin directory, and then we're going to Nemo into my ddISO2USB file. Well, I put Nemo instead of Nano. Crazy. Nemo, Nano, I always see those two mixed up for some reason. There we go. Now, this file simplifies making bootable USB drives from ISOs using DD. Syntax is ddISO2USB, full path name of the ISO file you're going to install. Whatever you enter on the command line is what is processed and installed into the drive, totally erasing whatever you have had on the USB or disk. So double check what you've entered before hitting enter. I've attempted to provide some safety checks to prevent mistakes. However, it is possible to erase your hard drive using a script. Use the script at your own risk and not responsible for any data loss incurred by the use of the script. Author Rick Koppel. So the first thing that happens is you get file name extension from the full path and ISO that you entered up there. Right there. Pulls that in and then gets the file name, then it pulls an extension off the file name. Then it selects an action based on the extension by using a case text. Case function. Image to ISO files. So in other words, it's only going to use an image or ISO file extensions on those two files. Okay, so it initiates the lsblk command, which brings up the list of drives and partitions on your system at the moment. And then I have a place where it enters in the last letter on the drive installed, and so on. So in other words, if you have SD A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or how many ever letters you got it down to, you got A, B, STC, you enter C, so on and so forth. Pretty simple to understand. Puts in D letter variable. Then it confirms what you're wanting to do. Installing the file name onto the drive SD letter. Yes, no. Defaults to no. So you have to enter a Y, either a big capital Y or a small y, and for this to work, for it to go into it. Now here we're going to, next step is to make sure if they've selected A, that they know what they're doing. Hopefully they do. It's a very rare situation you have indeed to install. I mean, I have had it where I've booted up onto, it's usually when you boot up onto ISO, like one sort of installed on the USB flash drive. Sometimes it'll assign A to that, and then it'll assign, but it's very rare that you ever put A in for anything, so hopefully nobody will hit that. But if it does, you accidentally hit A, they're absentmindedly not thinking about it, and they'll have you sure it's what you want to do? Because this is usually your main hard drive, and you're going to erase everything on there, install this ISO on it. You wouldn't want to do that in most cases. So it asks you there and it confirms. You have to hit yes again. Then it proceeds based on user input. Case that variable yn equals small y or capital Y. Then goes in the setup of doing the install. One of the interesting things is when you mount a drive to here, it's usually the one of the partitions that's mounted. But if you just say unmount what I put in the SD letter, device SD letter, then I'm just going to try to unmount that, and I'm not going to unmount any partitions. So first I have to find out how many partitions are on the disk and uninstall them. The easiest way I found to figure out to do that was to use sudo sfdisk -l in the drive. That gives you a list of your drives, the partitions on the drive, and then in order to get a couple of extra lines out of that so you can skim it down anymore and do a grep on the drive, so it only takes out the lines that actually list drives. Then I run it through this little cleaner here. I call it cleaner. It's a for loop in which I take the list of plist, which it gets, I just put in the plist variable there. And plist, it goes through that and it goes through all the various things. And now it has a bunch of stuff in there other than the drive letters, but it does have just the drive letters all together in one thing, which is why I used it, because all the other ones had the other stuff stuck on the end, beginning, and all that kind of stuff. It had problems on that end. So I say if Q contains the drive, and which is the most common one that I've found using beard C, it'll pick up any drive that has C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, how many ever partitions it has on it. So if it contains that drive letter in there, it then we'll take it, unmount it. Now the only quirk to this is that the first entry was the main drive, STC, and it had a colon in front of it. Well, you can't have a colon in front of it when you, or behind it when you try to unmount it and stuff. So I basically checked for the drive with a colon after it. If it finds it, then it takes it and just makes it just a drive letter all by itself. That's the only workaround I had to do on that. All the rest of the drives are exactly as you'd expect them. STC1, STC2, STC3, whatever you have. It'll go through and it'll mount all those drives, or try to. If they're not mounted already, it'll just give a little warning error that it's not mounted. That's okay. No biggie on my part, huh? Then it comes out and it's done. So now the drives are all mounted. The whole disk is all mounted when it gets to this part. That activates installation of the ISO file onto the selected drive. After that, you do sudo dd, and that's a program that actually does the bulk of the work here. And the input file is your string that you put in up in the top part of your thing. That's what I say in the comments, beginning comments, that whatever you put up there is going to be what's going to enter down here. So you want to make sure you're getting the right thing. And the output file equals the drive. Now BS equals 1M and status equals progress. Now what this does is it notifies the user the results. If the variable question mark, which is what always returns error code in bash, equals 0, which means it is good, it didn't have any problems, it successfully completed, then echo the success, we're done. Else, if it was an error detected, it's more than 0, or something other than 0, it will give an error detected. So you know that you had a problem if you didn't before. Probably you won't know by then, but yeah. Just additional steps say whether it's successful or not, so you'll have a good idea. Most times there's no issues or problems with this. Any other thing other than capital S or no S is default no. So then it'll just say echo ending script and ends the script at that point, which happens as you go down here. Because you got one more case function to get through, and that's where you don't have a proper extension on your file, or you gave them a file that wasn't the right extension. So then it gives you this saying, if the extension blah blah is not a valid choice, it must be an image or ISO file extension. Choose following format: ISO ddISO2USB full path name of ISO image file. Note, the easy way to get this full path is to use your file manager to copy the target file, then in the terminal you can paste in using Ctrl-Shift-V after you type in ISO. Yeah, if you type that in, now you get to the bottom of this, it exits. It's done. You're done with you. That's the DD to ISO file. Now we have another file we use as a kind of a helper file, so to speak. Let's save that. Nano ISO2USB launcher. Launch, I think just launch. Now the reason I had to have this file is because one of the things I'm going to show in a minute how to use this file is this allows you to use it as a script file through Nemo's context menu. I'll show that in a minute. Anyway, this basically what it does is it launches the ddISO2USB file in a separate GNOME terminal. The reason I have to do that is because the script file on that one runs it in the background. It doesn't run it in the terminal itself. It just runs it as a program or something like that. I don't know why, but most script files, like I say, think will run, will probably run, just in the background, which most of them do. This one has, as you saw, some input from users. It's got sudo password you got to enter in. If you try to use A drive, you got to enter in 3 different read questions. GNOME terminal. If you use a different terminal, you probably have to use different wording and different syntax and stuff. So you have to look it up on your own system what kind of terminal commands you need. But this is what GNOME terminal does. GNOME terminal, 2 dashes means you're going to execute this. SH means a shell script, and C is a command, which is in the quotes here, which is for home bin ddISO2USB, and then the string 1 basically transfers a string that will come through there, will come down through here, and this indicates it's a bash file. It'll run bash. And I put this little asterisk after it so that it goes on and closes out, and then you should open up another window which this program actually runs, and you see it on the when it pops open. Yeah, because you can't have this run in the background and just sit there forever waiting for you to do something which you can't do because you can't enter anything when it's all hidden in the background like that. So I had to have this available. Now I got other ways you can run this other than this. If you can't get this to work, you can get the other one to work for sure. Alright. So that's the option. That's what we have here. Oh, yeah. Need to close out Nemo and exit. Okay. Exit. So I'm going to try to go too fast. So now we are back on our screen. I was going to show you how to, so let's say we have this file now. We're going to quote install it. When you download it from the directory, you're going to install it on your system. Here's how you do it. Now you download it and you'll expand the file, extract the file. There'll be 3 files in it. There'll be the launcher, the main ISO file that will suck out, will do the work. And you also have a README file which has instructions on how to install it, and you give all these instructions on there. Alrighty. So what you're going to do when you first install it, you open it up and you launch it. You're going to want to figure out what path you need. Now path, echo $path will give you the list of path names. They're all separated by commas. In other words, homerec.local.bit/bin is one path. Homerec.bin is another path. User local bin is another path. User local sbin is another path. User bin is another path. User sbin is another path. So all those places you can stick these files, because you want to stick them in there. Because if you don't, then what you have to do is you understand the full path name where to find the file every time you want to run it, which is a bit troublesome. If you put it in a path file, the program knows to look in those directories, and as soon as you enter the command in, it'll pop open. Boom. Okay, we're opening Nemo here. File Manager. It comes with Cinnamon out of the box, and it's also one of my favorite file managers. I use it quite a bit. I like how I set it up. So anyway, we're going to look at our home directory. We got bin here. This is one of the ones in my path that I showed you just a moment ago. And I put all my scripts here that I create and have worked at, and some of them I'm still working on. Okay, now what we got to do is we got to make sure once you extract them into a path that your system will look at, find as programs and scripts, you need to make sure they're executable. The way you can do this on the command line, and you probably know how to do that if you know anything much about this. But I'm going to show you how to do it without the command line on the graphical interface on most. This will work for most file managers. You right click on the file, go to properties. Usually somewhere there'll be a permissions tab or link or something you can click on, takes you to the permissions. And there'll usually be a little link down here that says execute. Executing file as a program. Click on that, and then you'll notice when you close it out, But permissions over here. You see all those have X's on it. X, X, X. That indicates that the owner can execute it, the user can execute it, the user of the group, and the stranger can execute it. The person who just happens to come in and use your computer. Anyway, anybody can execute this script once you set that bit in there. Now you need to go to the other one, dd. Make sure it's executable, which it is. You can see the X's there. You do that and do that same way for that. You go in and click it and make it executable like that. Now you can use cmod command in the terminal to do the same thing, but most people are probably going to want to do this. Or I say most people, I don't know what most people are. Probably a lot of techies are listening to this right now and think, I wouldn't do that. I want to use a command line. I want to be fancy. Well, each his own. I usually tend to use a command line too, but for this video I'm showing you how to use the graphical interface of Cinnamon. You're going to have to adjust your commands for other things, other programs, other file managers, other GNOME terminals, other things like that. So that's one thing. Once you do that, you set it up and you put it in the bin, you're now pretty much ready to use it in the most basic way, which is with a terminal by instituting command. So let's say you wanted to install downloads. You want to install Linux. And let's say you want to use Neon. I have several ISOs here I could pick for workstation, Arco Linux, and yeah, you could say you want to use that one. What you do is if you want to use it in a terminal, which you can do pretty easy, is over here, copy. Now some will have copy location. If it has copy location, click that. What it does is it just takes the it doesn't put file colon / on the beginning of the file. So I have to erase that part if it does that. But yeah, on this one it doesn't do that. It just takes a home directory and goes from there. So you have that. Then you open up a terminal in here, and you go ddISO2USB. Then Control V, paste it in there. See? Gives you all the links right to it. Now the only thing you need to be aware of is if there's any spaces in this file name, you'll need to put it in quotation marks. Otherwise, it'll think it's two files. It'll try to take home rig and you'll get errors that way because it won't be able to find anything that way. So you have to put it in quotation marks, use single or double quotes. But this should work. Now, that's when you hit enter, it'll activate it, and I'm going to show you another way to set it up. Now this is a script action that you can use in the Nemo context window. Open up Nemo, then you go up here to edit, and down to plugins, and you say no scripts found. And the scripts as plugins is where you can put in scripts that you create. So if you wanted to have in the context menu, when you right click on a file, context menu, you have different things operate on the script. You have different scripts operate on different files you click on. And pretty cool. So what you have to do though is you have to put the script in a certain directory for it to pick it up, that it's there. So directory, you click on this. It's your home directory .local share Nemo scripts. where you have to put a script if you want it to register. Okay. So you go to if you go to here, bin. Now what I want to do here is put the launcher in there. Not the main program, but the launcher itself. The let's say, and here has to be a launch. So copy that. Then you go over to scripts, and you can paste it in there. Make sure that it still shows it's got a executable flag on it, and then you should be able to pick it up. So we're going to go back into it. There it is, ISO2USB-launch. It's checked off, so that's good, it's ready to go. Now what you should be able to do is hang it back to your downloads, USB Linux or Linux, and then say you want to install this on this flash drive. So then you just right click on this, see scripts, you'll see your script there. And it opens up a terminal window that allows you to start interacting with the program. Cool, huh? Now you see I have Arco Linux installed on that right there. It's SDC is a 1. This is Arco Linux is mounted. You'll see it's unmounted in a bit. So what will happen is you'll see the SDC and SDC2 try to be unmounted. It'll say it can't. It's already unmounted because they aren't mounted yet. Just SDC1 is. If you want to see anything about SDC1, it'll just unmount. It won't say it's unmounted or not. You have to trust that it is, but it probably will be. So this C is what you got to enter there. So you enter C. You don't enter 2 or 1. Otherwise, unless you're installing on something different, but SCC is what you want. So you put C, press enter. Now it says installing Neon user -22221 0107-0944 ISO. It'll drive SDC. Yes or no? Say no at this point, and it'll kick you out, say ending script, and it'll go away. We're going to say yes. And then wants sudo password because it's got that first sudo command sfdisk. It's a sudo thing, so we're going to do password. And you see I'm mounted. It said those aren't mounted, and now it's doing the DVD thing. And my little drive over here blinking away. I don't know why, but for some weird reason, notice this stop work showing your progress because it caches a lot of this stuff. So it takes a flash drive a while to work through all of it and then copy it all over there, install it on there. But yeah, once I do this, then you'll be able to take this flash drive, stick a computer, boot up on it, and install the system. Cool. And then when this ends, it'll go back to there. You X out of it. It's done. There's another way I'm going to show you while that's working on that. That you can do the same thing, but in a little bit different way. Now, to do this, you have to install it on your menu. in your menu system. On Cinnamon, you do that by clicking on Configure. You go up here to Menu tab, click on that. You go down here, open the menu file editor. Click on that. Then you see your menu, so you go where you want to put it. So I'd put it in System Tools. This is the main program, it's not the launcher, it's the main program. You put the launcher up, but there's no purpose pointing that when you can do what you can do in here. You can launch it in the terminal with the menu. So you have this. You go to New Item, and you use this menu. Got the name, the command, any comment about it, and you want to click this Launch in Terminal for it to work in the terminal, because you got to enter the information in there. You want it to launch in a terminal. So you can see what I got here. Name ISO to USB. And then I always do this even though I don't really have to, since I put a made executable bash file. I put bash in front of it. There's one thing here at the end that you need to be aware of. That's you have to end it with a %U. %U. What that does is it takes whatever command, like when you right click on a file, it'll take that file and allow it to be transported over there to that spot to where you expect it to be. As a USB one spot. So yeah, you want to put that in there. And then put it to create the USB from ISO files or whatever you want to put in there. Or nothing if you don't want to. Launch the terminal. Click OK. Now that's the first part. You have that menu. So now you have it in your applications that you can access. That's why you have to put it in the menu, because it has access in there. So you hit close. And you hit exit out of this. Close this window. Then let's say you wanted to do this. So you right click on now. Now this is default. It'll open up this image mounter. But I also have it where I set it in there to open up as ISO2USB. And the way I did that was went to other applications. And I went down and found ISO2USB down in the system. I just went down there until I found it. Clicked on it. Now, since it's already added to the list, it is not clicked on it. If I clicked on auto prompt, it will open it up under auto prompt. Then I click add to list, or it puts in the list up here of recommended applications used for it. That's in Cinnamon. Your system may differ, but some of them I think just automatically start using it. If you start using it much, it automatically will put it up there, or it's not. Or you can, if you want to use it for the default, this is the default. And then all you have to do is double click on the file and open it up. So that's how you do that. Then you'll see it just like I showed you. It'll open up with ISO as a default, or it'll open up as recommended. Or recommended options to open it up with. Those are the three ways you can run this and use this application. You can run it from the terminal, like I showed you, or you can use it as a script file in the context menu, or you can use it as a option in your list file or default in your context menu on Nemo. So there you go. That's our ISO2USB file that I created and put together so to make it easier for me to install all these systems on the USBs that I could try out and check them on this computer, that computer, and all those other things that I've been doing lately. So if you want to do that, you can download that file and put it and use it like I showed you. Or you can, there's a lot of other files that are out there that you use for Windows and stuff. DD is only on Linux, the cool thing is that DD is a program that you can find on pretty much any Linux distribution you can think of. So it's always there. And sfdisk, I don't know if that's on every Linux distribution or not, but it probably is. You can check it out by doing which sfdisk. See if sfdisk is there. Those are two dependencies that it has, those, and I think there may be some other ones, but pretty much everything I used in there was based on system usage. I don't think I used any proprietary programs of any kind or anything like that. You'd have to download and install for the most part. Most of them are right out of the box, most Linux systems. So that's a cool thing, and you don't have to worry about downloading this program, that program, to do it. You can use DD. If you know DD good enough, you can just type it in the command prompt. I wanted a simple way where I could process it, and that seemed to be the easiest way. So maybe other people wanted this too, but they're themselves. They really want it. Now there's a lot of ddISO2USB programs out there apparently. Just my quick search, I found a lot, but this is another one you can have. The ddISO2USB. So a lot of the others probably use DD as well in their own particular way. Who knows, maybe some of them use the same things I use. If I do, it's just pure coincidence, folks. I just wrote this and figure out how to write it and figure out how to put it together. So if you like this video, I would appreciate if you go down there and hit subscribe and click the notification bell if you want to get notified in your emails of when I put out new material, because I don't have a consistent schedule. I've been putting out about one a week since November sometime, but this is my 21st video, and I appreciate it if you give me a like and subscribe. Until next time, may the Linux Force be with you. Bye.